Hey, you made it. Welcome back to Sonic Weekly, baby. I'm Grant. With me is Bo. Hey, Bo.
Here we go, buddy. Hey, can you keep that song playing for like just a little bit longer? Yeah, there we go.
And out of the shadows, into the spotlight, the star of the show, David the Lurker. Hi, David.
Whoa! Hi, Grant. Hi, Bo. That's right. You should just have that song play the entire episode, just in the background, but only the first 15 seconds. Really awkward, hard loop.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
It's a hit clips. That's what we got. We got with our Tamagotchi, our Pikachu. Is that what it was called? Hit clips.
Hit clips were right. You put it in,
folks.
I think it was like a minute 30 is the most you could get.
Well, maybe where you shop, but we only got the 15 seconds solely on a new city.
I made a reference to hit clips the other day at work, and they looked at me like I was an alien.
Oh,
well, this is how you can tell you're among friends, because we are talking about hit clips and we understand each other's references. That's the point of Sonic Weekly, a show where we talk about Sonic the Hedgehog, sometimes with guests. And we have a guest today. He's a writer for animation and video games, and he's a Sonic fan, I think, as well. Frank Gibson. Hey, Frank.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for making it down. And I don't know why sometimes I get into like another accent character, but
like the country twang. Yeah, I mean,
I am from the Midwest, so I can somewhat claim it, but it's a JD Vance like lie kind of thing of like, I don't really have that accent.
You think you could do it though, like a Post Malone sort of pivot to like just a hardcore country thing?
I think there's too much tape on me now, but maybe I could. Maybe it's like season 4 of Sonic Weekly. It's just like, I spent some time reclaiming my roots, and I spent some time coaching ball, and I just want to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog with y'all. I also got into a little bit of slam poetry.
right. Man, does anybody ever pronounce it y'all?
No.
Oh.
I think that's like how JD Vance does now.
Uh-oh.
It's like I read it phonetically,
Oh man, what a couple of weeks. Hey, what a week of Sonic the Hedgehog news. David, what's Sonic Stadium got to say?
Whoa, that's right. We're logging on sonicstadium.org. It's been around since the year 2000. That means it might be older than some of our listeners, which is a weird thing to think about. I think, look, the big story, it's all about Sonic X Shadow Generations. We are officially, I think, on that hype train. I mean, we've been on it the whole time.
But now it's Gamescom. We've got a new trailer. We're getting feedback from players on the ground.
Right. On the ground, in the air, new trailer, new powers, looks at new levels, new limited edition packaging, which we'll talk about as well, I'm sure. But yeah, that trailer, it came out. When did it come out? A couple days ago.
Couple days ago.
And it shows off a lot of neat things, including Shadow can turn into a squid.
The Doom powers. He's Venom now. The Spawn, when they were talking about the Spawn influence at that con a couple months back, it's like, Spawn, what are you talking about? But doesn't Spawn's cape like morph?
Yeah, it's like fluid.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
Okay, as somebody who's got a gap in his Shadow knowledge because they haven't played Shadow the Hedgehog 2005, like, is there a precedent for this Venom-like power thing, or this is just new?
It's brand new.
Okay.
I feel like they're figuring out Shadow in real time in front of us. I feel like it's like Shadow each time is kind of like, what makes him distinct from Sonic? And they're like, well, now he has wings. There's Doom powers, and there's...
That's right. He's got... Okay, so in the order in the trailer, let's see what we got here.
There's 5 of them.
Doom Spears, which I feel like he's sort of had before, but now it has a name.
And it's a way to like replace guns, right? So now he doesn't have a pistol.
They're basically, it's replacing guns and it's replacing vehicles, right? You have the right, because he can surf. What's it called? Is it called Doom Surf? Yeah, it's just called Doom Surf.
Doom Surf. That's my favorite.
The beautiful, like, gnarly looking stingray thing.
Yeah, which is supposed to be like coming out of him, right? Because the wings come out of him. The spears, I think, come out like it's a Venom like thing, right? Where it's goo.
It looks real Venom.
The little hole in the bottom of his shoes where it just
yeah, I mean, he can fly and he can ride the waves. Instead of needing a boat, and a glider. So he's going all around, up and down and all around, I believe. Doom Morph. What's the other one that I skipped?
Oh, the squid one? Yeah,
Right.
Doom Squid.
Doom Squid.
Doom
Yeah.
Squid. Yeah, what is it called? Doom. It's got to be Doom Morph, right? That sounds
Right. Doom
more
Morph.
accurate.
Right. There's been some fan art already.
Sure. It's been a day. There's been
Yeah.
more than an hour.
I mean, it happened immediately where like, yep, now they're just hanging out. Him as a squid and him and Sonic's there too, and they're having a good time, I swear.
So let's get some reactions from the four of us, eh? Now I'm like,
Hey.
I'm the guy that fires like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2. No, that's a wrong. That's not even the right. Forget about it. Listen, how are we feeling about the new powers? What is your reaction? And especially Bo, you have a gap, and then Frank, I have. We don't know. You're a mystery. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I can start us off. So new powers, interesting to me. I am kind of like I'm an old man. Like my knees hurt. Like I'm like a Sonic purist. Like giving Sonic like powers and colors. I don't know about that. I just want him to just be like doing his thing and running around. I don't need to have this like alien turn me into like a rocket or whatever. It looked fun. That's the thing. If a Sonic game actually like looks fun, then you've already got me. I don't speak for all Sonic fans, but I know at like some level we're all like suckers for punishment. like yeah, we love Sonic, all like warts and all, and there's been some like incredible games that I will play for the rest of my life, and then there's some ones that are that kind of like go a little too far astray from what I think like makes Sonic really fun. This looks fun. I'm excited for it. I don't have as deep a connection with the Shadow character, I feel like, as like some people in the fandom. I'm big like side scrolling. Like Adventure 2 is great. I just got it again just because I want to like play through it and kind of get some Shadow story.
Did you play Generations?
I love Generations. Generations what brought me back in.
Oh.
I was gone. Like I didn't have I had like a crappy Xbox. Like I wasn't really playing a whole lot of games, and Generations came out, and so yeah, I actually downloaded Generations today, knowing we were gonna like talk about this, because I was looking at the graphics. I'm just like how much of a remaster is this? It's like because I was like it looks a little rough around the edges, and then I loaded up Generations, and I was like, oh no, this is actually a huge upgrade. Generations is actually showing its age now. It's just rose-colored glasses, and I haven't played it in a number of years. I was like, oh, this actually looks very, very nice by comparison.
What platform did you download Generations on? I have it on PS3 and PC, and I noticed a huge disparity on PS3. For me, I don't know, it looks very bad. And then on PC, it sometimes works, and then it looks good, but it doesn't always work. I don't know why. Also, they're delisting it soon.
Yeah, and that's like one of the reasons why I know I'll be able to continue to download it and whatnot, but I was just like, I should grab it. And also, like, I want to go to like the community section and see like kind of like what people have been doing to the game over the past few years, because I'm sure they've been doing some fun stuff. But I love Generations when it came out. Like the first time, like playing through Green Hill, like loading that game up for the first time. And I got like a little bit of that today too, and I'm just like that. Like I was like, I really love this game. Like I really loved actually getting like it's a game made for old Sonic fans, and I think it brings in new fans too. It is in need of a remaster. I was getting pretty cynical about it. I'm just like, really? It's not that old. How much better could it look? How bad could like old Generations look? Yeah, I love Generations. It's like one of my favorite like Sonic games in like recent memory. I think I like it more than Colors. Is that a controversial opinion?
No, I think it's pretty common, or it's at least not uncommon.
There's a lot of people who really like Colors.
Everybody puts them in the same tier list, right? Like,
I guess.
I don't know.
They're not more than one apart.
Right. I mean, in the sense that like if one is A and the other's B, or do you mean like they're both on A but there's a game in between? You said gas, you meant the first one.
Shadow Generations looks like it's going to be pretty full. I mean, there was at some point in this show months back where we were like, is it just going to be like episode Shadow in Sonic Forces where it'll be like 3 levels?
Right.
But clearly it's much more than that. There's at least 6 levels with 2 acts each. So that's more, plus the hub world and these powers. So that plus Sonic Generations or X Sonic Generations remastered, adding in the drop dash, cleaning up the graphics.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is like, will this make sense as a Generations add-on, or should this have been a standalone thing?
Is this Bowser's Fury?
Right.
I mean, with the surfing, I'd say yeah.
Bazooka, totally. That looks just like...
That is just straight up Bowser's Fury. Yeah, it's Nessie. It's just Shadow, but he is his own Nessie, which I think is...
beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. It's beautiful. It's self-love. Shadow loves himself, which I hope is what the plot of this game is. He's so angry and rude, but now he's going to be in love.
In an interview, Izuka mentioned that the game takes place in a parallel timeline somehow with Sonic Generations, but in reverse maybe, because it also goes past it, because there's Sonic Forces, there's Sonic Frontiers.
Right. Well, I think by like parallel, he just means Sonic's having a story, Shadow's having a story, not that like it's a parallel universe, just like how my life is parallel to yours, Grant, right? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But I think he was saying that they're happening at the same time.
The same time, yeah. But since it is about all of time and space being dismantled, one of the things that I always wished, like, it would have been neat if Generations could have done it, but it would have required forethought and like way too much planning, would be put in a level from the next game.
Yeah.
And
as long as it's not Sonic 4 episode.
As long as right. And even though it doesn't seem like we're getting a level from whatever the next Sonic game is, we are getting levels from the games that took place after Generations. It looks like we have a bit of Sunset Heights from Forces, and we also have Chaos Island from Frontiers, the last big Sonic game. They're definitely playing with time. Shadow's not in Frontiers, so whatever he's doing there, it doesn't matter. Forces, it'll be curious to see if he acknowledges anything that's happening in the future, if he's just in a place, But they want to play fast and loose with the pseudo time travel mechanic, because technically it's not time travel. They're in white space and all time and space has been dismantled. They have to fix it, so it's fine.
It's too bad that there's no Mania stage, because like a modern 3D studio up Bliss would have been.
Well, that would have been neat.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he's going to the available assets zone.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
That's pretty much
I just like, okay, so when the first Generations came out, I'm just like, I'm a naive child at this point of being in my 20s, and I was like, I bet they're going to add all sorts of levels to Generations over the years. I can't wait to give them additional money for my favorite levels. And it's like, oh, there's going to be this like Casino Night add-on thing, and I'm like, oh, that's dope. Wait, it's a pinball game?
And then that's it. Then for years, people were still hoping, clinging to the hope. It's similar to Mania 2 and how we eventually had to let that dream die.
Yeah, that bummed me out. That game is excellent. I'm a big fan. Are they going to add additional Sonic levels, like for Sonic, or is it just going to be like Generations as it was?
The pinball is in there. And then we can again hope that maybe
it would be nice if Sonic could go in the Shadow levels.
Yeah, but he can't Doom Surf, so
yeah, he would need a Wisp power to get that in there,
which they could do. Yeah,
Fun snowboard. He loves snowboards, especially if they're not used on snow. They're used on a city street, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, some sort of water. You want Sonic to waterboard. That's what you
gotta be careful.
We were avoiding it. We were dancing around it.
The words, right? He can
bodyboard.
Bodyboard.
You know what's a really bad part of Sonic 06 is where he has to be on the surfboard with the whale jumping around, and you can just like very easily die a whole bunch of times. I saw something wild. If we're talking about like 06, so I play like a lot of Fortnite. I stream Fortnite. I'm usually a guest on a Fortnite stream.
We should play Fortnite. I can't get these guys to play Fortnite with me.
I love Fortnite.
Yeah.
It's the only way that I can stay in touch with youth culture, like Metallica. And
yeah, that was big when they were gigantic gods in the map.
And they were now age 20 as opposed to like 65.
Yeah.
We remember them as they were.
So pre Napster fight.
Yeah. before Lars yelled at all of us. But they had someone built an 06 level in the Fortnite engine, and you can play it on like the user created like levels there. And I'm just like, God bless these people. You know,
yeah.
Like some kid whose first Sonic game was like 06, and they're like, this is bad and broken, but there's something to it. And then there's like, they just carry it with them the whole time. It's like, I have to recreate this in Roblox. My only choice. Yeah. Oh, so wait, you were saying there was like 06, like you like in seeing the trailer, you looked like there's some like 06 stuff in the Shadow.
Yes, Kingdom Valley is the one that they've shown off, right?
Cool.
But also the wings are sort of like 06 in the sense of like you get to use vehicles and you have like a hang glider level in 06. You know, listen, as somebody with a physical copy of Sonic 06 signed by the voice actor of Silver the Hedgehog, I think it's a very fine, interesting, unique game. And you know, there's been things recently like Project 06 that have rebuilt the levels or refined them to a way that makes them more accessible and playable. Yeah. So, you know, there's some, I guess you could argue that it's either revisionism on 06 or like a new perspective and a new appreciation of 06. I think everybody's also just been like, it's sort of like accepted that like, yeah, obviously 06 is the worst one. The only reason I played it, incidentally, is just because when I was starting to fall into the rabbit hole, the hedgehog hole of madness, my dear wife of the Grant of the podcast, Ashlyn, was like, well, what's the like worst Sonic game? I was like, well, that's a hard question to answer, honey. I'm gonna have to think about it. But when I did, after I deliberated for a while, I was like, I think Sonic 06 is sort of infamously the worst one. So, well, that's the one we're gonna play. And it ended up being kind of a fun time. One, to sort of laugh at it because it's kind of a B movie, but two, because it is sort of Sonic Adventure 3, and also there's a 2-player mode with co-op that is pretty fun. So it was sort of a surprise that it was good. Also, I was playing it at the same time as Sonic Frontiers, which is a very ugly looking game, and Sonic 06 on PS3 somehow looked comparable to Frontiers in some respects graphically. I love Frontiers.
Yeah, I did not end up playing Frontiers. I will. It's like on the list, but I was like, just because of like today, I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna replay through all of Generations right now. Like I got to like 900 moons on like Mario Odyssey, and like I was like, I need to find a new way to punish myself. Like,
oh man, yeah.
Well, I would be interested to hear what you think of Frontiers if you play it, because I think there's a lot for the Generations connoisseur to love. Like they I think finally get the boost gameplay better than they've ever gotten it. And they don't have as much like classic stuff as Generations has, but you know, they do play around with the 2D format. So
like, I do feel like they have been building on something for a long time now, as opposed to like and you know, there's still like in between games, but it's like since Generations, and then you know, you do Forces. It's like they are actually building onto this game, and they're like, yeah, we're getting the boost mechanic right. Like we're gonna make the right perfect 3D Sonic eventually. Right? They're actually, it feels like they're sticking with it, as opposed to it's just like he has a sword now. It's like, really? I'm so tired. Just give me my game I like.
But some people love that sword though.
I think there's a strong possibility that Sonic X Shadow Generations will end up being the best overall boost game, because Sonic Generations is arguably the strongest as it is. And then you add in basically like, it sounds like the Bowser's Fury plus of Sonic Frontiers, which is what Shadow Generations looks like it might be. And that sounds like a fantastic, maybe the best Sonic 3D package since Sonic Adventure was new in 1999. Bo, also, just to give you the same prompt from earlier, what were just your reactions to the trailer? And you said you have a gap in your Shadow appreciation. You didn't play. No, you have. I'm sorry. You played 06. You just haven't played Shadow 05, which is understandable.
Yeah, I've played all of 06, and I've played enough of Shadow 05 to get a screenshot of the Burning Rangers cameo, and that's it. Yes, I'm interested to see what these new powers, like, the question is Shadow just Sonic with a different skin, or is there something different in his gameplay? And if the different thing is he's got these powers, then okay, maybe that'll work. Because in 06, it's kind of like, well, he's Sonic, but sometimes he gets in a vehicle, and then that vehicle falls off of the world, and you die, and you try it again, and then that happens again, and eventually somehow you get through.
It's just like real life, though, so I don't see the issue.
But yeah, so in the little bit I've played of 05, it's, he controls like Sonic, but then sometimes it's a run and gun, and then sometimes it's back to Sonic. So yeah, I'm okay with experimenting with the format.
Yeah, I think like I was saying earlier too, like it seems like they've figured it out, that he's the more heavy metal sci-fi version of Sonic is cute animals and robots, and Shadow is Venom like aliens and lore.
It's taken a while, but I do think they've worked it out. Like, this was like they've worked it out. Whether like it's going to be super fun to play, I don't know. It looks really fun. That trailer, I was just like, this looks really cool. I'll have a great time playing this. So I hope that's the experience I get. Have other people played it yet? Is it like a demo that people have played, like Gamescom or anything? Or
yep, that's exactly it. Demo at Gamescom, and
there was an earlier demo at some other, what was it, just Summer Games Fest or something, or was it?
Right.
Yeah,
it wasn't E3, that's for sure.
No. So there was a, right, I believe, yeah, it was a trailer at Summer Games, or not a trailer. There was a trailer, but yes, there was a demo there, and now there's a new demo here at old Gamescom. And then, I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any other demos. There probably won't be a public demo. They don't seem to release public Sonic demos anymore, like before a game's released.
It worked so well for Sonic Adventure 2. We have a few times reminisced about that demo disc.
Right. Well, they did it for Generations as well. June 23rd, his birthday in 2011, they had the Green Hill Zone demo. But then everyone data mined it and found out everything that was in the game before it was released. So they probably don't want to do that because they know Sonic fans are crazy and will immediately dive in and find out everything.
And then create it in Roblox.
Right.
Sell it.
Well, because that's the same reason people found out Big the Cat was in Frontiers. They data mined Origins and found, it's a brief mention.
Right.
So Sonic fans will dig and dig and dig and dig and find anything they can grab onto.
You know who else likes to dig is Knuckles the Echidna.
Whoa! What's he digging for?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
I think I've said it before on the show, but the voice acting that he does when he comes up with nothing and he says rats, like, fantastic.
That is a good
rats.
Yeah,
rats.
It's a great game, Sonic Adventure, and one of the skins in the game is Sonic Adventure. Anyway, Frank, thanks again for doing the show. So yeah, okay. Here's the question, which is your history with Sonic the Hedgehog. Where does that begin, and how did we get here?
It begins with me at age 7. So I had a Master System because I went to my house and he was playing Alex Kidd.
You were one of the few.
And I was like, I want to play Alex Kidd. Alex Kidd sounds great. So I got a Master System, and there was a brand new game called Sonic the Hedgehog coming out. So I got the Master System, Sonic 1. That was my first Sonic game.
Wow.
And I loved it.
Did you live in the UK? That's like a UK origin story. Yeah.
I'm from New Zealand originally. But when I was 7, I just moved to Australia. So I spent like my formative Sonic years were in Australia.
Okay, this is a PAL region phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
That is the PAL origin story of any Sonic fan, it feels.
Yeah. I went from like that, and I was really excited about it. And so my parents would rent game consoles every now and then on like a special occasion. Like if, oh, it's a sleepover, a bunch of kids are coming over, they'll like rent a Genesis or something. So we all play a Genesis. And that's when I played Sonic 1 for Genesis. And I was like, wait a second, this is a lot better than the Sonic that I played.
Wow.
And I got really excited. Like I got a Mega Drive 2, like the smaller format Mega Drive for like a Christmas present. And I was eagerly awaiting, and I'm probably like super behind at this point because things like arrive kind of like a bit later in Australia, especially then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like eagerly awaiting news of Sonic 2. And so there was this games magazine called Mean Machine Sega that was kind of like a very rude British gaming magazine with lots of bawdy jokes and things. But they had a special issue that had a VHS of game demos on it, like just like people playing through a couple levels. And they had Chuck Rock, which I would immediately fast forward through.
No love
and then
for Chuck.
Then there was footage of Emerald Hill Zone. I would just watch it and rewind it and watch it and rewind it. Like I was like super obsessive, and like as soon as I could get my hands on that game, like I got it, and I was probably insufferable from that point on.
Man, is that VHS online?
I don't know, actually. I wonder. So I have all of that stuff. Like my parents have never thrown anything away except for my childhood teddy bear, which I will never forgive them for. But yeah, like all that stuff's in an attic. I have some wild stuff because, again, I have acknowledged that I was insufferable as a child. I would go to a Friday evening. My dad would take me out and we'd go to like the arcade. And I wanted to go to the arcade because I had skee ball, because the skee ball would pay out the most tickets. And the ticket prize were packs of like the top Sonic trading cards.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh.
So I'd just like play skee ball for hours. And then I would go to every store in the vicinity asking if they had any Sonic merch, like every single one. And they either found me charming or got so sick of me that I was getting store displays, like official Sega store displays, like given to me.
Whoa. So
I have like a plastic vacuum form Sonic 1 display. I have a cardboard cutout display of Sonic 3 where it has a spring and the hand moves, stuff like that. Like, like all that stuff's in my parents' attic. Like as I said, insufferable.
Wow. So you were a Sonic and Sega faithful, like hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
like
from the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't have a Nintendo console until I got like a GBA SP. Yeah, I was like I was a kid through and through. And yeah, like we'd rent. So once I had like the Mega Drive 2, would rent the Sega CD so I could play Sonic CD, because my parents were not going to buy that, and that like that is I think a wise decision they made, because literally they would have bought a console so I would play one game.
You could have gotten Chuck Rock on the Sega CD though.
Yeah, I could like play the Flintstones movie game. I think that's a cartridge though.
There's the Batman the animated series hidden episode, lost episode on Sega CD.
Yeah,
really.
Renting consoles is such a specific period of time.
Old thing.
Yeah.
For old people.
Yeah. But Sega was like the perfect one, because like Sega CD, Sega 32X, and Sega Saturn for me were like the cool, because there was only like really one game usually that I was particularly interested in playing on those consoles. But okay, so Sonic 1 Master System, then Sonic 1 Mega Drive, and then Sonic CD?
Sonic 2. By that point, it would be Sonic 2. I would have played Sonic 2 before I played CD.
Okay, so you played them in order.
Wow.
Yeah. I had like a Sonic 2 for Master System as well. I played through the same game, even though it's not really the same game at all. But like, and one is clearly better than the other. But yeah, I went from there, and like I got a Saturn when all my friends were getting PlayStations, because I want to play Nights.
Right.
Specifically, I wanted to play Christmas Nights so I could play Sonic.
Mild disappointment.
Yeah, for me, I was just like, wow, this is great. It's Sonic. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Everyone else is
I
playing.
haven't got cynical at that point yet, even though I was probably like 13 at the time.
This Christmas, I'm going to make Christmas nights better.
Yeah,
Is that a promise?
Yeah. I'm gonna do
Well,
it.
let's.
I would love that. Like,
Frank may not know, but Bo is the impresario of Rings of Saturn, the hit Substack and Twitter account.
Right.
oh hell yeah! So I still have my Saturn, but one of like the AV ports is bent, so there's no sound. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I haven't tried to fix it since I became the type of person who would try and fix something. So.
Pull out the pliers. Time to go.
I know, right? Like, I need to get all of my. I don't have like all my consoles here. Like,
Well, you can do that right now. We can have it as part of the episode. You.
I just like lug it out, and I'm just like crying as I like think about my child. But yeah, if you make Christmas night something I can play again, like I'm there. Yeah.
Well, because you've made nights walkable, right, Bo?
Yeah.
I feel like there was one other mod that involved Sonic and Tails from Sonic Jam.
I did just like I did a private thing just for me to play, and I made a video of it of you're flying with Sonic rather than like running on the ground with Sonic. And like, well, you know what, if I made it so other people could play that besides just me privately enjoying it.
You're holding on to Flying Sonic.
Since you're into that like scene, there is a game that I've always wanted to play that I don't think exists, which is a version of Chaotix where it's just like normal.
I know why. There's got to be somebody's had to have modded that, right?
Yeah,
where you just
like
nuke the second player.
Yeah, I would love that, because like I had a 32X as well. I picked it up really late at like, so like there's a store in New Zealand called the Warehouse, which is just like kind of like a crappy Walmart, but it used to be like a crappy Big Lots. And when I was a teenager, there was just a bin of in-box brand new 32Xs for 30 New Zealand dollars, which at the time would have been 15 US. And the games were $2 so I bought literally everything I could. Like, I was just like, I wasn't allowed to buy multiple 32Xs, which would have been a great investment. And I like bought like every game they had there, and I was just like, I was so excited to finally get to play Chaotix, and I was just like, oh, this looks so cool, the vibe's so cool, but it feels so bad.
The music is so good. Don't worry into summer, but
yeah, the music is enduring. No, what did you have on 32X besides Chaotix?
The one game that I play Afterburner all the time on it.
Yeah.
But I had a whole bunch of them, but I don't really have memories of like outside of just playing like Chaotix. Yeah. Which honestly, by playing Chaotix, I probably was just like putting the cartridge in and just like listening to it and like looking at it as opposed to like playing. Yeah, Afterburner for 32X like I remember that feeling like pretty good.
Yeah, were there more than 32 games for it?
I think that's about the number.
Yeah.
Depending on the region.
And then it also features like a lot of ports that are bad, right? Like it's a bad version of Doom, bad version of Mortal Kombat, bad version of Star Wars Arcade. Is that accurate? NBA Jam,
Virtua Fighter, Virtua Racing.
The version of Doom is like a Doom with a controller just always felt awful to me.
It's not what anyone wanted in 95, but it is a fun curiosity looking back on it.
I love all that stuff. Like, I would love to have like a Wonder Swan one day. I think that'd be like a fun one to have.
Did you see, this was, I think last year, a bunch of Sega internal docs from like 95 through 97 leaked, and it's just brutal. The section on 32X, they're like, all right, we think we might be able to sell these for scrap, but we're not sure.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So that's hard. Well, what they did was they put them on a boat and sent them to New Zealand.
So they all went.
They're like, maybe these guys will like them.
They found their way to where they needed to be.
And that's what your first house was built out of, right? It was.
There's a Roblox of 32Xs, like a Minecraft house.
They all plug into each other. That's sturdy.
Yeah, the Tower of Power was definitely renowned for being sturdy and not looking like it's going to fall over to snap.
Frank, did you have every Sega console? Did you also have a Dreamcast? And did you have a Nomad?
Dreamcast? I did not have a Nomad. I didn't have a Game Gear. But I don't have those. I have a Dreamcast Craigslist type finds where some guy was just like selling a Dreamcast $50, and it had, and the thing I was excited about was it had like the Phantasy Star Online keyboard with it.
Yeah,
and I was like, I gotta play some Phantasy Star Online. This is sick. And I was like, where are the servers? Like, why didn't it work? I was pretty amped for that. But yeah, like I have like pretty much everything.
Right. Unless you want to go, you can go wild and get the original Japanese, SG 1000.
Right.
SG 1002 and
get the original Fonzie arcade cabinet.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse. You could have been like, oh yeah, my holy grail is the urinal game that Sega sold for a while, where like
what?
Yeah, it's like, I guess it was sold to bars and other entertainment values, where basically urinal, you relieve yourself, you hit targets, and things happen.
Right.
I guess to help promote staying in the
it's
lane.
Called toilets, TOYLETS.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like,
just get a whole row of them, and you and all your friends can compete.
Oh my god. Sega. I do have a fun one though. I went to Sega World.
You went to Sega World?
I went to Sega World. Yeah, like it was like after like the Sydney Olympics.
Oh, in Sydney.
Because like air travel was cheap there after. Like the Sydney Olympics is like a whole other disaster, because it's like they built like a monorail that's gone. Like they did so much like infrastructure, like useless infrastructure work for the Olympics that just kind of like has crumbled. I went to Sega World when most of it was still operating, and they had some of those like weird like arcade machines for like very little children, like those Sonic games, like Sonic Police, I think is like one.
Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, they had like a bunch of stuff like that there, and like that was fun.
Did you meet Princess Sally?
I mean, I here's the thing. I wanted to, but Princess Sally was not there anymore. I did get like this really sick jacket that probably doesn't fit me anymore, but I got like an embroidered like Sega World jacket with like, and it has like Ray and Mighty like embroidered on the back and everything. Like,
oh damn,
that thing is sick.
You should put a picture of that online.
I think I saw that at like this museum, this like retro. They did it in Pasadena, this retro video game convention. They had like jackets and stuff, and I think I saw something quite like that there. I thought they were on sale when I first walked in. I was like, "What? I want all of these. This is crazy." No, it's a museum. They're just so you could put it on display.
Right.
Yeah, like I have like all of that stuff like just like laying around. I like the one, I don't have like the denim jacket one that has Sally on it. I need to be a better like steward of Sonic. I have like all this stuff where I'm just like, like I moved to America like just over a decade ago, and I'm just like, everyone else like has this stuff, right? And it's like, oh, maybe this stuff is actually kind of special. I should archive it. Make sure
we didn't have a Sonic World in the United States. That was just a wisp of a rumor that you might read about in a magazine. Like, yes, every region I think has its own unique treasures. So we always wanted to look grass is greener. Like growing up, like we had the Archie book, but there was like this mystique about the Fleetway Sonic the comic, like, right. Everyone who reads that says it's the best, but we can't read it here. But they're the same. It's fine.
Yeah, I would get the Fleetway stuff just because it was there. I was an Archie Sonic kid like through and through. Like I have the most beat up copy of the first. I have issue 1 of the miniseries, whereas my friend had issue 0.
But both were available, Fleetway and Archie.
Yeah, we had both.
You had both. Wow, see, that's magical right there.
It's like we get like Beano and stuff like that too. Like we were just like on that distribution list of just like this place is British enough for our like weird British stuff. like here's Dennis the Menace. He looks like shit now.
Was Dennis like an adult at that point? Because isn't there lore where young Dennis eventually aged and married, and then had a new Dennis? So the young Dennis the Menace is just the kid of the original Dennis.
Is like would you say like the blonde kid is the kid, or the black haired one who had the dog named Nasher, which of course is like the most British thing you could call a dog.
Right. No, yeah,
Like,
I think that is the lore. I think they both have black hair. The blonde haired one, that's like the American Dennis the Menace, who's just
Yeah.
like mischievous. But in the Beano Dennis lore, like it is time.
he's
has
a little
passed.
stinker.
Right. The original Dennis the Menace with the black hair has aged up and is an adult, gets married, has a kid, and that's the new Dennis. Like, I think that's what it is.
I feel like there's a way to be a menace as an adult. Just be like a bad neighbor.
Right. Well, I guess he's perpetuating menacicity, or whatever you want to call it.
Mendacity.
Mendacity.
Isn't there something with Dennis the Menace's creator? David, maybe you told me this at one point. How do I half know this? Of like know. Dennis the Menace's creator, it was sort of like as a joke about his son, but then the son didn't like it, and then the son took over the comic.
Oh, I don't know.
All the ones after that are like, hey, no, this kid is really misunderstood.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe his father could have been slightly better to him and he wouldn't have acted out in this way. Perhaps instead of drawing his funny pictures, he could take me to the park.
Right. So in the 80s, it's just a bunch of strips of him going to therapy. It's very...
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm just spreading a little slander about Dennis the Menace. Or I'm right, which is possible.
Well, if we could start the official Dennis the Menace podcast.
Dennis Weekly. Yeah, because there will be a week of strips to cover, right?
Sure.
I feel like it's like if you covered Fleetway, it'd be like you'd run out of copies really quickly, so you just have to fill the time with other British comics. Like we're going to be reading The Dandy this week.
Ooh.
The Dandy. God, why does it sound so British? Like it just sounds... Beano and the Dan, like it's a parody of itself.
Meanwhile, in the U.S., it's like, look, there's Superman, there's Batman, there's Spider-Man. That's all you need. Even though all of that stuff's in the UK too, it doesn't matter. We don't have Archie, I guess. Wait, do we have unique American comics like in the comic store at the time? Like, let's say the early '90s, where it's like, this is a kid's comic and it's just for you. The British don't get it. I mean, I guess Archie Sonic.
It's so weird that Archie Sonic never made it to the UK. That's so strange to me.
Somehow the diplomats kept that out.
Yeah, there was a tariff on it. It was a international diplomacy.
Right. Well, because I mean, UK comics, I guess in general, are a little. I mean, they're interesting because, like, instead of getting a monthly title, they would have like their weekly books, right? So there was Star Wars Weekly that republished issues of Marvel Star Wars, but they would like split them in half, but then they would still run out of content. So they would hire, like people like Alan Moore to write new stories to put in Star Wars Weekly. They did this for Transformers. They did this for like the Archie Ninja Turtles, and even like, Spider-Man comics, like, oh, you have Marvel UK, which reprints a bunch of regular US Marvel, but then has unique like Spider-Man stories only in the UK. The story
Marvel UK was brutal. Like I remember getting like a Wolverine book, and it just opens with like a decapitated head. I'm like, what?
Whoa. Is that allowed?
I was like, that's heavy.
Yeah.
I was like, because like I knew like Wolverine was kind of like on the edgier side, but he hadn't gone like full like violence like edgelord Wolverine like in the US, where it's like you open the Marvel UK comic and you're just like, oh, all right, it's right there. Like maybe that's just like because they had guys like Alan Moore writing at the time. They're just like, it's fine. Yeah, it's for the UK audience. It'll never make its way back to America to scar impressionable children. The British can take it,
All right,
was Heavy Metal a British magazine? I think. Yeah. So that was one of the first, I think, British style magazines that a friend had or something, and I remember thinking that was like, whoa, this is way too weird and adult and strange. So I was like picking it up and then like throwing it back out, but then also kind of like peeking back at it because I think there was boobs, but there was definitely like, well, that's actually the only thing I really remember aside from the format.
Is the boob?
Wait, was Heavy Metal American and like 2000 AD was like the British?
2000 AD is British. Yeah, I feel like Heavy Metal is probably not. That seems like the American.
Heavy Metal was just in like the oversized format.
Yeah, Heavy Metal is an American. Yeah. 2000 AD is British. Heavy Metal is American. So, we all had our own strange magazines, which were definitely not for kids, but kids wanted to sneak a peek. I guess for me growing up, that was National Geographic, but
like, whereas like, my parents were like pretty open-minded about like everything, so it's like they're like, if he's reading, that's fine.
Okay.
like if it is like a second of his life where he's not watching Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog tapes, like taped on long play, so there's like 6 hours of like the most distorted like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Like that they were just like, that's okay with me. Like, it could be the worst book ever.
Frank, your Sonic bona fides are surprising. I didn't realize you were it was such a deep. I'm like,
very old.
I thought it was like a casual like Sonic Mania sort of thing. But
I was into it. Like I was reading like Sonic fan comics as a kid. You know what? I'll admit this on the air. I was on Sonic role-playing chat rooms when I was 9.
You know
Should have been there.
You know what?
Should have been.
I was too. In the AOL, that's what you would do in the chat rooms if you were a kid, because it's like, what are you talking about? I went to school and learned about, like, what do you say? No, so you pretend to be something, and Sonic or Batman or other sort of things seemed like a fine way to play, but on the computer.
Yeah.
I'll admit to something adjacent, which is Knight's chat sim. That's where the girls were, so would have watched plenty of Sonic stuff, but Knight's
you were forward thinking.
You're like getting those internet girlfriends.
Those girls who were like into the Nightmare Before Christmas, and like Knight's fit in right there. Yeah,
Knight's was a really, like, I was so excited for that game, and I still really love it. Like it is still.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it is a delight. I played like the Wii remaster of it.
Yeah, it's like,
oh, you mean
2 hours of a good game,
the sequel?
Yeah, 2 hours of a good game surrounded by 8 hours of a really bad game.
At some point, I need to play Balan Wonderland.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. Yeah.
David played it recently, I think.
Yeah, recently I played through.
How was that, David?
Well, at some point you disassociate with reality, which makes sense. It's
Look, I'm not saying it was justified that they put Naka in jail after he made Balan Wonderland.
Right.
There is a correlation there.
Yeah,
they were trying to shut it down the whole time. They're just like, but they didn't have that one last piece of evidence they needed to like really lock get him away.
The moment he said one button gameplay, it was like, okay, we're putting you on a list.
I just like, there was like the video game donkey review of it, and just the way that he just says the farmer, like when the farmer shows up, just like kills me. Like I'm just like, I need to experience this myself. I am a connoisseur of garbage as well. Like I have like a collection of like the worst animated movies that you will ever watch in your entire life, including one made by Kent Buttersworth, who was a director for Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Attila and the Great Big Bean, and it's an animated film paid for by the U.S. Bean Council.
Whoa!
Like,
didn't know there was a Bean Council.
I did not until
ABC, is that what this Sonic?
ABC stores are actually they don't sell liquor; they sell beans.
No relation to the Beano, or.
No, I wish it was related to the Beano.
Okay. Wow. How many animated Tom and Jerry movies are in that pile?
That Willy Wonka one.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the Tom and Jerry Willy Wonka movie?
I have seen it.
Okay. So that thing's nuts.
Yeah.
But again, you find like, because it's just the movie happening, and Tom and Jerry are just there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not based on the book, it is based on the film, but I don't think it's licensed in any way.
Well, it uses all the songs, so they got rights from somewhere.
They must have got something. It doesn't, there's like something that feels like very off to it, like it's like I don't know if they were supposed to do that. But maybe that's just because it's like not very good. However, James Urbaniak does a fantastic Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka because they kept the freak out scene in there.
Yeah,
like where he like shouts, and I was just like, and like again, like if you're not familiar or people listening aren't familiar with James Urbaniak's work, he's Dr. Venture on the Venture Brothers, inexplicably playing the Gene Wilder version of Willy Wonka in a Tom and Jerry movie. What about the one where they talk? Because there's like one from like the 90s, right?
Right. I get that would be Tom and Jerry the movie. Like that was the big theatrically released Tom and Jerry film.
That's probably why I didn't see it. I was probably like, this is like this is too capably produced. But it is on my list. I have been because once I heard that I didn't know they talked in it until very a couple weeks ago.
Well, because that's the whole advertising campaign. Like the trailer, it's basically starts with them saying at each other, "Wait, you talk," and then they just run from there. I haven't seen it since '95. I own the Genesis version of it because I thought it was a different game, and then I was like, I want that. And then I came home and opened it and went, what is this? Because for some reason I wanted a Looney Tunes game because it looked big and colorful, but instead I ended up with this Tom and Jerry game. And since it was the 90s, you're not taking that back. You opened it, you're stuck with it. You have to enjoy this for the next 6 months before you get something else.
That was like me with Shaq Fu.
Oh God, you own Shaq Fu when it? Oh geez, I have a friend who has a Shaq Fu collection, as in they have over 130, 40 copies of Shaq Fu on various.
That's awesome.
Yes, if you look up Save Shaq Fu, you'll see it. It exists. I forget if it's .net or whatever.
A buddy of mine found his like childhood Genesis at his parents' place. Like it's probably like 7-8 years ago. And he just like called me like one Sunday morning. And he's just like, "Hey, do you want to go to Game Dude?" And I'm like, "What's Game Dude?" He's like, "Oh, it's great. We'll have a great time." I was like, "All right." I'm in the car and go all the way out. And like, I think it's like out in the valley in Los Angeles. And it's a big building that has tons of old games. Like, and especially a lot of old games that people did not want to play. And we went straight for Shaq Fu. And what do you know? They had a bunch of copies of it.
There you go.
I wanted to get like the basketball like trilogy of like Shaq Fu, like Michael Jordan, Chaos in Windy City, and Shut Up and Jam. Shut Up and Jam.
Right.
Like, I wanted to get all three, but I don't think they had a copy of Shut Up and Jam.
I strongly associate those with the same video rental store that consoles like the 32X and the Sega Saturn were rented from. Just walking past the Super Nintendo section, and for some reason, I guess not for some reason, because the boxes had celebrities, big stars on them, so they were kind of like front and center. And you'd have to you weren't going all the way to the back, but you were going like around the corner where there was like the sort of scary Rocketeer poster. And it was sort of scary because it was near the adults only section that was closed off and you just wanted nothing to do with it. But then eventually was the original Nintendo and then Sega Genesis or other Sega things. You would think that drive-in movies would be booming more because it's easier. It'd be so much easier to just do it.
You just rent a field.
You rent a field. Get some Bluetooth speakers. You're set.
Yeah.
Projector.
Yeah.
You're done. Right.
Field of Dreams.
I'm trying to remember what the last thing I saw in a drive-in was. God, it's been too...
For me, it might have been Rocketeer or City Slickers.
Yeah, I think mine is also from childhood, which would... Oh, boy, what was it? The Mask and Mom and Dad Save the World. Do you remember that movie? No, you don't.
Mom and Dad Save the... I don't know that movie at all.
And then there was also Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
Right.
Or Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, rather.
Blew Up the Kid,
right.
Yeah. It starts off very violent, and then it's just a court drama after that. It's so
weird. One of those was paired with Casper, because I remember they would do like the family nights where like one was intended for mom and dad and the other for the kids. And so it would be like Casper. And that's why it would be like
Casper True Lies.
Right. Well, not True Lies, but
so hopefully the kids go to I'm trying to like the last time I went, I think it was a date, like I was trying to romance, but I don't even. That's all I remember.
It's not terribly memorable. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, if you have memories that you don't entirely remember, make sure to email us, sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. You've listened to enough of our half-remembered anecdotes. If you had a dream recently and you don't really want it,
I don't really.
we
fine.
could be your dream journal. Just that's a perk that you get for free. You don't even have to donate to our Ko-Fi.
We're so wistful.
I had a dream that I got access to Sonic X Shadow Generations, and the shadow part was just like clearly Sonic Frontiers, but they had like hand-drawn shadow over it.
A hand-drawn Sonic game.
Yeah.
All right.
Tell me where to send the money. Yeah.
Yeah. All we have to do is kidnap the guys who made Cuphead. Just be like, by the way, I have a pitch for you.
Hey, well, when they first started making Cuphead, they originally looked into making a version for the Sega Master System. There are posts from the creators on some like SMS Power, and they're like asking how hard would it be to make a Master System ROM. Clearly, they didn't end up going through with it because it probably would have been extremely difficult with what they ended up doing. But they were Master System kids.
Frank, I want to kind of toss a few random questions at you because we're sort of running out of time, and there was so many new branches to your Sega history that I didn't expect.
I was like fully exploring my childhood by the end there.
Yeah,
right.
And it's just like, I wonder how that kid who lived across the street's doing. Like,
we'll get to that in part 2. Okay, so number 1, your favorite, least favorite Sonic supporting characters. Sonic accepted.
Okay, so not from animated series, so from the game.
From anything. From all time anything.
Whatever you want. If it's Antoine.
If it's Antoine, baby, say Antoine. If it's not Antoine, don't.
I mean, like Sally's like top tier, so Sally doesn't count for this particular question. I was like way into Mighty. I was like a big Mighty guy. Also a Fang / Knack / like whatever, because I saw that as like kind of cultural representation, like for Australia.
Yeah.
Why he's wearing that hat?
The hat, 100%.
I've seen some guy wear that hat.
The part of it is flipped up.
Yeah. Like, did you also ask least favorite character?
Yes.
I mean, in canon, Jeffrey St. John, that guy's a bastard.
Did you? Are you one of the purchasers of the Lara Sue Chronicles?
I have not bought anything from Ken. I've met Ken. I met Ken and Scott Shaw at the same San Diego Comic-Con. It was like when I first started going to San Diego Comic-Con like 20 years ago. And Scott was selling originals that I couldn't afford from his Sonic Comics. And his inking is just like incredible looking. It's like beautiful. He's not a happy man. He's just like, they could have brought me back. I could have used that money. It's just like, yeah, I liked your art, dude. Like it was fun. And I met Ken, and I had the opposite experience where he was so happy and excited about like anything. Like I would tell him about Sonic. Like I understand like he's like a bitter guy about it and everything, but he gave me a very good experience as a fan. But no, I did not pick up the copy of Lara Sue Chronicles.
Gotcha. I have yet to finish it. I did buy it, but I it's a little bit of a.
It's something.
And David.
I also bought it, have it, read it, went,
And speaking of comics with boobs in them, Lara Sue Chronicles. There is.
It's just showing the beauty of motherhood is what's going on there.
Yeah, true. Hey. Listen, I like National Geographic.
I was going to ask, and I was like, actually, you know what? That's something I need to find out for myself.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. It is.
Right. Hey, well, he's going to sell the Ken Pender's Knuckles Omnibus Volume 1 coming soon, so you can relive all your Knuckles memories with whatever's in there. He hasn't
as long as the Image Comics crossover that's anchored by X-Files parodies in there. Sorry, I turned your rapid fire question into a very slow question.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, we gotta go slow. Yeah, best worst Sonic things. All of the Sonic things. however you want to take that.
This doesn't include games. It's just a Sonic item. is a, if it includes games, I mean, just like my prized cartridge of Sonic 2 is like that.
Gotcha.
That is like my favorite thing. My least favorite thing is the review copies I got of Sonic Secret of the Rings and Sonic and the Black Knight. I was a video game reviewer at the time, and the way that they paid me was they would let me sell the copy because it was a retail copy of the game. They let me go sell it at GameStop or whatever, so I could get like $50 because like games in New Zealand were like 120 New Zealand new, so I could usually get like $50 for them, and I kept them. So they're my least favorite things because it's for video game reviews I never got paid for.
Wow.
Second best Sega franchise.
Jet Set Radio.
Jet Set Radio!
Which is tied with Streets of Rage for me. But Jet Set Radio are better games. Like it's like Streets of Rage I like have like such a soft spot for because like I went to go see Yuzo Koshiro in concert. Like when he was touring doing the Streets of Rage tour.
Ooh.
I haven't played a Bomb Rush Cyberpunk yet.
Right. Yeah. Which makes more sense? How Knuckles glides or how Tails flies?
So, okay, the way Tails flies, I go with like the animated version where you can really see those tails like intertwine, and then it's like pulling a Beyblade. I would say the way Tails flies makes more sense to me. And like I'm sure Knuckles, like like there's an aerodynamic thing.
Knack or Fang?
He was Knack for me when I was a kid. I am a Sonic the Fighters fan.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll go with Knack.
So, do you also like Dr. Robotonic?
I'm 100% a Robotnik guy over Eggman, just for reference as well.
That can get dangerous in certain circles.
Dr. Robotonic's a deep cut.
Well, listen, if you're listening to Sonic Weekly, we're going to drop some lore here.
This is Deep Cut, the podcast.
That's right. Exactly it.
Hell yeah.
If you don't know who the rabbit character is, we don't want you here.
If you think we're talking about Cream the Rabbit when we say the rabbit, and not the Sonic Superstars rabbit DLC skin, aka the original drawing of
Yeah.
prototype
not Bunny Rabbit.
Not Bunny Rabbit either.
No.
That's Rabbit. The whole
it's different.
Oh yeah, not Rabbit.
But yeah, you're right. She did have uncles and extended family, right, David?
In Archie, yeah, she did.
Yeah, and they weren't called Rabbit. That's not the family name. The family name's Rabbit.
Is it? Oh, geez.
It's not like she was born Rabbit.
Yeah, the cruel irony of her getting half roboticized.
So? Right.
Yeah, it's like nominative determinism.
Right. Aunt Lulu May and her uncle Beauregard.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you gotta love that.
I'm having a great time. Like this is 100% like exactly what I want to be doing with my evening. I'm not being facetious at all. I'm genuinely having an awesome time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for being here. Do you have any questions for us or any last things that?
If I had questions for you, I mean, like you will be sitting here for a while because I want you guys to answer the same questions that I answered. You know?
Frank, do you know the Sega Hydlide series? HYDLIDE. So there was a Genesis game, and then there was a Saturn game called Virtual Hydline.
That name is really familiar, but I've never played it.
Well, I'm bringing it up because I made a mistake, and I offended the Hydlide community this week. So, Virtual Hydlide was made by T&E Soft, and they were a developer whose other games were Pebble Beach Golf Links, Valora Valley Golf, Extra 36 Holes. You're sensing the theme here. They're all golf games, right?
Yeah, and then they went and made like a and
then they made an action RPG.
Yeah, it's like here's like I guess I would enrage them if I'm about to say like I'll take the heat off you. So it was kind of like a fake Zelda, huh?
It looks really bad, and I was doing a little bit of my Saturn hacking as I do, and I found some debug stuff in there. I posted it and I said, "Oh, this game it's so bad it's bad. Take a look at the stuff I found." And I just want to offer my apologies to the virtual highlight community. This game before its time. It's based on a golf engine. They were doing everything that they could.
That is wild.
I'm backpedaling as hard as I can.
Wait, so were you like dynamiting it and you're fighting like 9 irons and shit in there?
I was data mining it. Post the stuff I find. I toss it off.
Original one's PC Engine, right?
Oh, that might be right. Yeah, it's on the Mega Drive, certainly.
Yeah, I can take the heat for you. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I spent like dozens of hours like reverse engineering this Saturn fighting game called Savaki, and I posted about that. It's a nice response or whatever. But I made fun of Virtual Highlight, and it's like one of the most popular things I've posted this year.
Wow. Wow.
For making fun. They know. I guess that's another tight knit community. They got you in your sights, so you should write something like, "Oh, here I found out something else from the best series ever made." Virtual.
I feel like because Saturn is already a pretty niche thing,
right?
And then you're just like cutting thinner and thinner slices of this.
Yeah, I'm really going down deep.
It's pretty amazing. And Bo, I haven't done this in a while, but I beg you once again to get a Nintendo Switch, for God's sakes, to join. Because I can't get a Saturn. How am I gonna?
Look,
what are we gonna do?
I made it to 98. Next is 99. I'll do Dreamcast.
I'll do Dreamcast.
I'll eventually catch up.
Frank, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. You and your wife also stream, right?
It's
is there anything that we can promote and link in the description?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me. Like, I genuinely have really enjoyed this. Like talking about this stuff is just like I love this. I don't get to do this very often. And I also don't get to like mine the back of my mind for like childhood like Sega memories, because it was like a genuine like a huge part of my childhood. So like, it's actually be like really cool getting to talk to you all about it. So my partner Becky and I, we make comics. We both work in animation. She was lead character designer on Steven Universe movie, Adventure Time Distant Lands, Big City Greens movie that recently came out on Disney Plus. It's really good. I worked on a cartoon called Be a Puppy Cat, where I wrote the first season I co-wrote the first season of Be a Puppy Cat. I did the voice of Wallace the Fish as well. We both work in animation. Before that we worked on comics, and right now animation's in like a little bit of a pickle. Like I would encourage people to look up what's currently going on with like negotiations between the Animation Guild and everyone's favorite corporate monolith, the AMPTP. We're trying to get like a better deal right now, so people who make the cartoons that you like can have places to live. So that's the main thing that I would like to plug. But Becky and I also we make comics again. We're making comics again. It's really exciting. We used to do web comics for years and years and years. So we're doing a bunch of cute, funny animal comics, which I feel is in the vein of like what many Sonic fans like. We do a series called Bustletown that would be posted on our Patreon recently. So if you ever want to check out any of our stuff, it's BeckyandFrank.com, and we're Becky and Frank on like literally every social media that exists, because we have to. We're not allowed to leave. Like, why don't they let me leave Twitter? Why won't everyone just leave Twitter and go somewhere else? And we can all just pack up and set up shop somewhere else that isn't as bad.
It's impossible.
It hasn't happened, right? Yeah. Every new outpost
isn't doing it. We're all just
what's that?
Oh,
why?
It's the end of the show.
Why? I mean, it sounds like maybe somebody is coming up with a new Twitter right now, and they're listening to that song as they code it, and they're just asking for, a few $1 million to help fund it. But, if you're one of those people, maybe you could let us know after you've listened, of course, to the end of another episode of Sonic Weekly. Yeah, the only Sonic the Hedgehog show that you get every single week, except when we're on vacation. But we're not right now, baby. We're rocking Sonic, and we're going to be rocking Sonic all the way to the end of the year. Yeah, we're not stopping until that movie's out, and it's coming out. I promise. But, while you're sitting around doing that, if you haven't already, you should subscribe to the podcast using your podcatcher of choice, be it Apple Podcasts, be it Spotify, be it Podcast Addict, if you're using an Android mobile device, which, hey, if you're not, That means you've got an iPhone, I guess. That's fine. I'm not going to judge. Maybe the person who makes Podcast Addict might judge because he can't download their app. But hey, you can like the show. You can leave a review, leave a 5-star rating, do that in whatever app. But hey, if you don't even want to deal with a podcatcher, we're also over on YouTube at Sonic-Weekly. Subscribe, and you can like and you can comment, and you can not only listen but watch gameplay footage done by friend of the show, Jack of Old Games. Oh yeah, this is happening. And if you were Grant, you'd say this is Grantonin, but I'm not Grant. Nope. At least last I checked.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right, baby, and you are right.
That's right. If you want to reach the show, it's always sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. Drop us a line. We do a mailbag segment every once in a while. And that's also, if you send an email, you can ask for the invite link to the old Discord, where you can talk with other like-minded Sonic the Hedgehog fans. Hey, but if you feel like supporting the show in a monetary way, we do have the Ko-Fi set up. It's just slash Sonic Weekly, right? Just the one word. You can, just give us a tip. There's memberships. You can get the Discord link that way too. Also some extra goodies from wife of the Grant, Ashlyn, and I guess whatever else we want to throw in there. Trying to think of this. Oh, I gotta thank, of course, once again, Frank for being guest on the show. Thank whoever's editing this episode. The editor, insert your name real awkwardly there.
No.
And of course, like always, thank you, Bo, and thank you, Grant, for joining. All of us are being joined on this journey of hedgehog stardom. Whoa!
Wow. Amazing. I think
Well
if
said.
you're not giving a standing ovation to that, pull over.